The Rebel Capitalist Show.
I get this question all the time where people are trying to set up a plan B and they say, they always have this checklist. They're like, the politicians got to be like a reincarnated Ron Paul. They've got to have property rights that are perfect. They got to have gun rights. They've got to have organic food. They've got to be able to get a building permit easily. You've got to be able to get a passport in 3 months. You've got all these things. And, to your earlier point, every government's bad, especially now. And I'm telling people that ask me about this plan B, I'm like, you've got to lower your standards here because and they say, well, we want a politician or a president that's not a Marxist. I'm like, where are you going to find that? It's, every single one of these countries, I don't care where it is, they're all Marxists, they're all socialists, they're all central planners. So what do you tell people that give you that unrealistic checklist? Because I'm sure you get that question more than I do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, in all countries in the world, in the political systems, it's the scum that rises to the top for lots of reasons that we've covered a few of them. But from a practical point of view, where can you go as a plan B? And you really should, because if you're planted in one country, you're making a huge mistake because a human should not try to survive like a plant. Quite frankly, it's not very smart. So you've got to have a certain amount of mobility. You can't be like a medieval peasant who is afraid to go over there because, oh, I've heard those people over there are dangerous and violent. It's nonsense.
Right.
So, but where do you go today? Where's a good place for an American, for instance, to think of getting as a second residence? And you should also get a second passport and second driver's license and second bank account. Incidentally, that's very hard to do. It's almost impossible for an American to open up a foreign bank account or brokerage account these days. But where do you go? Well, I'm in Uruguay, probably the best choice in Latin America. Southern Brazil, which is actually a different country from northern Brazil, is an excellent choice as well. But all of these countries suffer from the same disease. The best thing is to be treated like a valued tourist.
Yeah, right.
If you're a tourist, they'll treat you nice. They have to cultivate you. You're not a threat to the local power structure. So that's the best thing, actually, to be a perpetual tourist where, if possible, you've structured your life where your bank account's in one country, your business is in another, your home is in another, and you're kind of a ghost as far as the powers that be are concerned.
Yeah, that's kind of the advice I've been giving people. I was just speaking to another individual I remember on Sunday night, and they're going through this checklist, and the way people set it up, they set it up as if they can only go to one country for the rest of their life. I call it the Hotel California syndrome for Plan B. like, well, they were talking about Mexico in this example. And they said, well, what if I go here and this, and this? I'm like, you're setting it up as though once you go, you can never leave. I go, the world is so volatile right now and so tumultuous, and things are changing so quickly. You can't plan for the next 10 years. It's just not possible.
No,
You can barely plan for the next 10 months. So I said, instead of having a 10-year plan, try to knock that down to about 6 months. And just go, don't buy a place, just go somewhere first and foremost and find out if you like it, for heaven's sakes. You got to like it. And then if you like it, then maybe do a little bit more digging and then see if that's somewhere where you'd like to spend the next 6 months. And then the next 6 months goes by and then reevaluate, because I can guarantee you the world will look a lot different then than it does now. So what do you think about people just reducing their time horizon?
I think you're absolutely right. And I've been saying this for years. And, it used to be international travel was quite easy. You basically got on a plane and go anywhere. Maybe you have to get a visa, but basically you go anywhere, you get off, and it's not a problem. But now all these governments have linked together their passports and especially with this COVID nonsense. And we're going to see a lot more of this type of thing. I guess monkeypox is the thing that seems like it's next on the runway. And of course, global warming, where you shouldn't fly because you're going to kill the planet and one thing or another. So it's becoming harder to travel than it ever used to be. So, but still, there's no time like the present, and you can still do it. So, you've got to get out and investigate these things, especially if you're young. Listen, if I was 30 today, or even my 20s, when I started doing this, and I wanted to make my fortune, I wouldn't stay in the US. You have no advantage. There's 100 million other young people just like you. So how are you going to stand out? I'd go to Africa, for instance, where you're unique, you're wealthier, you're better educated, you're better connected. You can get into anybody's office just by virtue of being a young American. That's where you make your fortune. You don't hang around in, your little town or your city and, try to make it out of the cubicle they assign you to in the US. But most people don't think that way. You
Yeah.
know,
I
most
mean,
people are sheep. They think that voting will change things. I can't even talk to most people, to be honest with you. And when most people listen to me, they think what I'm saying, they discard it. So, but I don't care.
yeah, but there's so much wisdom, Doug, in what you say. And if people just would study history, that they would realize that, there's so much value in the experience you have. One thing also too that I always encourage young people to do when you brought up Africa is just kind of like a geo arbitrage, and that there's all this opportunity to make money online now, especially for a young person. And if you can just make 3 or 4 grand a month, for heaven's sakes, as a 25-year-old kid, but go down and live in Medellin for a while, or go to someplace in Africa. I mean, your monthly expenses are going to be like $1,000, and then you're going to be able to take all that money and just put it into investing or building your business or doing all these things. Where in the United States, you'd just be living paycheck to paycheck, basically. So that's one opportunity out there that I see for young people in today's day and age. It's just, not only getting out of the United States to find opportunity, but getting out of the United States to get your monthly nut down to a point where you can reinvest a lot of the dollars that you're making, especially if your expenses are in pesos or something like that.
That's absolutely right, George. I'm always looking I don't believe in level playing fields, incidentally. I want to be on a playing field that's on level, that's tilted to my advantage. Now, the key is to find a place where that's the case. So everybody says, no, we don't want a level playing field. Well, I understand why people would say that, because they're on the wrong end of an on-level playing field. So a level playing field looks good to them. Anyway,